You bought a brand new program that is going to streamline the way your company does business, and one of your departments should be so much more efficient because of the software. You go to put it in, your IT people install the software. It's put in front of your staff with, let's say, some training, and immediately you have complaints from your staff that the software doesn't do what it needs to do. It's not making anything better. It's making things worse. And oh God, can we please go back to the way we did it before? I'm exaggerating, right? Because you know that there are going to be more steps in there than just installing the software and giving it to your people. But ultimately, in some of these transformational projects that we deal with, it feels that way at the end. And after hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars have been spent, you still have your frontline staff that are using the software saying, I don't like this. Can we please just go back to the way it was? Why did we do this in the first place? Why doesn't anyone listen to us? You'll get that one too. And one of the things that I will tell leaders in a business is when you are going to embark on one of these projects where you are installing new vendor software, there are a lot of things that you need to do, including selecting the right vendor software. There are several analytical steps that should happen before anything happens. And the first thing I will always say, and in the advent of the agile methodology, this seems to be poo-pooed. I don't know why, because I will argue that this never should have gone out, and it will always be in if you really want to do things well, and that is gather your business requirements. For the love of God, gather business requirements. What I mean by that is make sure you have staff that can elicit out of your business line not only what they do on a daily basis, especially their procedures and processes, so that they can determine if they are repeatable, that a computer program can repeat them, and that they are the most efficient from a business perspective, doing what that business wants to ultimately do and most positively affects the bottom line. Once that assessment is done and you get from the business the bare minimum functionality, I would argue more, but the functionality that they want to see the program do, how the workflow needs to go, even how the screens look, so that things feel familiar to those doing the work. What the reports that come out of this software look like, so that both frontline staff and management have the most clean, actionable data that they can have to make their data-driven decisions. Make sure all of that is documented. Once that's documented, then you can select a piece of software and you can mark against the requirements that you have how much that software checks the boxes of what you're looking to do as a firm. It's very important, even at the beginning, to make sure your IT staff are involved, because on top of it, checking all of the business functionality, you want to make sure that the technological stack that software is built on fits into the enterprise architecture ecosystem that your IT people can administer properly. You want to make sure that your IT people can not only make sure that the software stays up and running and is reliable, but also if there are any fixes or modifications or things like that need to happen later on, your IT staff will be able to help you with that, and you won't have to constantly be calling the vendor. Then you can select your piece of software. The other thing that happens when you're doing all this analysis is you realize, wow, I have lots of other pieces of software in my organization, and data from some of those other pieces of software needs to flow into this new one. Data needs to flow out from this new piece of software we're trying to install back into some of those systems or out to different systems. Making sure that you understand the entire architectural flow, or is what I like to call a good plumbing exercise, to make sure all the pipes are there and you don't have, when you install this, a bunch of pipes with no ending and data water pissing out everywhere. Making sure that all of those steps have been done and everything has been properly documented and a roadmap has been created for how you want to do these things. Once you have selected the software, or you might decide there are no pieces of software out there that do what you want to do, let's build it in-house. If you have the right developers on staff, you build it in-house. But once that's done, all of the other pieces that need to happen, all of those integration pieces and the reporting pieces, everything that really allows you to do what you need to do are in place. And then finally, like I said at the top of this, you don't just hand the software to your people and say, all right, good luck. And you usually don't just give them one piece of training. That this idea of change management that I talk about a lot, which is a fancy way of saying hand holding and reassuring and making sure that in addition to understanding how to use the software and how the software fits into the everyday life of your frontline staff, why they're doing it, what they're doing, how this affects the business positively, so that the change sticks, so that you'll always have one or two people saying, why can't we just do it the old way? Because a lot of people we're all creatures of habit to some extent. But what you want to do is make sure that the vast majority of people that are doing the job feel like this tool makes it so much easier to do the job. It makes us so much more effective. Our bottom line is so much better than it was, that this was a great idea. And it also leaves them open to more change down the road if you want to continue to transform and scale your organization. So I can't stress enough how important it is to do all of your homework and your pre-work before you select a piece of software and install it. And make sure that you have the right people helping you do that to guide you along the way. Love, Tim, XOXO.